Oh man, I was not prepared to go live already. It's okay though. You're not alone. The loneliness is a distraction. Okay. When I heard this, God actually got put it on my heart um, a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, like in the fall. And I knew that it was going to be in reference to the holiday season, the winter, where we start to see people getting sad and feeling lonely and overwhelmed and discouraged and, just depressed. Like with the season, whether it's financial, whether it's not being in a relationship, whether it's being away from family and friends. There's a lot of different things that make us feel that way. But it came up today. It's important to talk about today because yesterday I started having these thoughts and it was so sudden. And they were thoughts like, what if I wasn't here anymore? What if I just disappeared? And that to me, it was like, whoa, where is this coming from? Where is this sudden feeling of sadness coming from? And it felt really overwhelming because of it. It's like it just felt like one of those things that I couldn't just like shake it off and ignore it. Like it was really, really strong feelings that I had. Now, I didn't have any ideations of taking my life or anything that would lead to actual action steps, but it was just the thought and the feeling. It felt so heavy, and I made myself a drink. So I made myself a rum and Pepsi, and I was feeling convicted about drinking it. Not because I have a conviction about alcohol necessarily, but because of why I wanted a drink. And I knew it was because I felt sad. I felt sad and I felt lonely and I felt like I wanted to get away at the same time, which is again so conflicting because it's like, what do you want? Do you want to be around somebody or do you want to be by yourself? And so I was sitting with the drink and I tried to take a sip of it and it just didn't feel right. Like I just didn't feel good about drinking it. So I let it sit for like maybe an hour or so. And then eventually I went ahead and I dumped the drink out. I didn't finish it. I couldn't finish it. It just felt like it was not going to be a good idea. So I went ahead and I dumped it. I put my phone away from me and I just went ahead and I laid down. That's a lie. I was on the phone for a little bit, watching a live on TikTok. It kind of felt like they were keeping me company. And then once I got sleepy enough, I put my phone down and I went ahead and went to sleep. Um, and I woke up today, and I didn't necessarily feel better. I just finally went to sleep. And so I was thinking about even how there have been these feelings of wanting to have community, um, meaningful relationships where I can be intimate with people, I can be vulnerable with people, and I can be myself. And I don't feel like I have to be someone else in the relationships that I have already, but I feel like a certain level of like responsibility in the relationships, like as a daughter, as a mother, as a friend, as a strategist for some people, that for the clients that I have. Like I feel like there's a certain level of work in those relationships. And so when I think about being in those spaces so much and then there not being a balance of me being able to just be, um, that's where the loneliness comes in. That's where those feelings come in. And I know that for a lot of people, especially creative people, we can forget how important it is just to have spaces where we can just be. We don't, it's not something that we have to work or earn or serve or give people necessarily. We are just allowed to be ourselves without an obligation to perform. Um, and so I think about how if I'm feeling that way, then I know that it is also so many other people who are going through this too. And it is one of those things where we will neglect it, we will push past it. And the thing that I'm remembering now that I wanted to bring up is that when I had these feelings, when I was having these thoughts, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anyone. Literally no one. I'm talking about it now. This is my first time speaking about it since yesterday. And so I have people that I could go to, but then I had those thoughts of, well, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to be a burden, or I don't want to dump on them. And knowing in my mind that it wouldn't be a burden, but also not really feeling that, not really believing that, especially because um I guess I didn't know what it was, or what, like, how to put words to it. And I think that the thing that really held me back, if I'm being honest with you, is that I felt like I would be disappointed by the interaction, because I needed I needed someone to just be there with me in it. Like, I don't want to do anything strenuous or hard or tedious. I just want to be with someone. And that was what I felt like if I reached out, it would be more like almost like a therapy or an advice or counseling type of interaction. And that's not what I wanted. And that's not what I needed. I just needed a space to just be, but not by myself, not isolated, but just to be in company. And so I I I know that that is the case for many of us. And even thinking about the passing of Twitch, again, because it's one of those things that's just kind of been hard to shake it. Like, it is so, I just, it's like, I think for many people, we just want to understand why it happened, because we don't really know. We don't know the details. We know that there were some mental issues, but we don't know what those things were, and to what extent, and you know what it actually was. We don't have those details. Um, what I do know, especially when it comes to feeling depressed or dealing with depression, one of the things that has always helped me is having something to look forward to, having like planned intentional interactions with people. And so one of the things that was for me last year was being able to have my personal trainer, who's also my friend, knowing that every Tuesday and Thursday we were going to work out together on Zoom. That was an interaction I look forward to, because it was still, I mean, it was work, but it was with someone who I didn't have to like perform, or I was able to be taken care of in that moment. Like, I was being served. So that was cool. Another thing that I had was a community that was called Flights and Feelings, and it was with Joseph Solomon. He had a group that he held for a really long time, like I want to say at least 2 years. And we would meet monthly on Zoom, and we would just hang out and have fun. And we ended up building a really, really dope relationships with people that were literally all over the world. Like there's people in London and in Africa. Like there were just people in so many different places. And so we knew that at least once a month we were going to get to come together on Zoom and hang out with each other and have fun. And the topics were always so random. Like it was never anything extreme or like it wasn't like a class. It was just us coming together and being in one another's company. And even outside of that, we would have impromptu voice chats in Discord, and the chat would be going and we would share jokes and updates about our lives. And so you knew that you were not alone and you were able to be yourself and just be a person. Like we weren't in there to sell anything or perform or anything of that nature, just to be who we were. And so things like that have always been what helps me and what helps a lot of people. And so I say all of that to say that as I was thinking about the trendsetter community, for trendsetters only, and it's the Discord chat that I've mentioned in a few of my other videos, I really want to make it a space where you know you can look forward to a community aspect like that. And my goal with it is to expand it beyond just the virtual and make it so that we can have these in-person meetups and even people having their own meetups from people that they met in this community in their respective cities or states or countries. Like, you know, you never know who's going to join the community. But I want it to be that space where you get to be you without the pressure to perform. And I realize that it goes beyond creative entrepreneurs. It goes beyond branding, because there are so many opportunities to learn that. And it's not that you won't ever get that, especially if you decide that you want to work with me. Like you're going to obviously get what you pay for, right? But I feel like this space in particular is for creatives to just be, and to be able to be vulnerable and be in relationship with other people who will allow them to be themselves. You know, we can't grow isolated. We can't grow when we are always avoiding relationships or building very shallow ones, or the only relationships that we have are with clients or with the people that we work for. You know, like that is not enough. It's not enough. And so I think about I feel like I have sufficiently described this sentiment. There are other things that I think about, even biblically, that support the idea that it is not enough for us to, Lord Jesus. Okay. God's presence is not enough for us on earth. He is all that we need, but the experience of him being enough, his presence being enough, is for when we are no longer in this life. Like when we have passed, his presence will be enough. But while we are on earth, we need relationships. We need community. We need each other. We were built to be interdependent. And so the isolation, it literally like makes us sick. And you end up in situations where you have those same thoughts that I was having. What if I was just gone? What if I wasn't here anymore? And so I want to make sure that whoever I am in any type of connection with, Anybody who is connected to me in any way knows that they have a space. And I hope that together we can make it something where you can look forward to it every week or every month, some type of coming together so that you do not feel like you are alone, because you're not. So y'all, I will talk to you tomorrow. We go live again. As always, I don't know the time, but I will see you when I see you. Have a good night and a happy weekend.